Okay, aloha everyone. Aloha datang from Mama Bali. I am here. It's been like 9 months since my last video transmission, but today is a day of deep appreciation and gratitude. It is the Give Thanks Day, and I felt super called and inspired and actually joyful to just transmit kind of an end of a crazy, intense year. And I just felt it was the time to reach out to Kamuniversity Portal and to be in the vibration of Thanksgiving, which I know is in the field right now. And as we move to the holy day season, it is the super time to really deeply appreciate all the endings, all the trials, all the tribulations, all the setbacks, all the obstacles, all the obscurations, all the things that have challenged us as a part of humanity in this moment to squeeze the real incredible divine empowered juice out of all of us, because I know I'm not the only one who's been going through it this year. And that being said, I really wanted to focus on from traumatic endings into exalted new beginnings. And that is really what this moment is about. The biggest task that we have to complete this year is to move beyond what it means to be the human in the little matrix cell. Because if you're like me and you've been following me along this channel for as much as you have been, especially since post-COVID, I have been a firm proponent for natural intelligence, a firm proponent for going beyond the artificial screen, and we give thanks to the natural blessings of the droplets of rain that are happening right now. Therefore, when we think about all the things that we could possibly move through as initiations, or consider them rites of passage. So if we have accidents, if we have breakups or breakdowns, if we have partnerships, whether short-term or long-term, whether they're business, whether they're career, whether they're relational, whether they're familial, that no longer serve us, whether we meet people for a moment, whether they've been long-term friendships, things are shaking up and baking up and breaking down in such a deep manner that unless we have a really deep, committed, divine contract that's part of our soul blueprint for this life, it's part of our purpose-oriented service work, those things are going to be challenged, or they've already been challenged. So, for example, just personally, just to get really transparent, this year I have literally let go of Kamuniversity.org, which was my service work for 25 years. The portal has gone down online. I have let go of Moose Stars, my jewelry design company. I have let go of breathlight.net, which was my breath work for over 2 decades, and my trainings in personal healing sessions. I have completely let go of a pre-seed project based on dark rooms, or at least it's on hold for right now, on the back burner, based on my light deprivation initiations and full pitch decks and business plans that I've been working on for the last couple years, because I had a falling out with my co-founder, both business-wise first and then personally, just to be really frank and direct. On top of that, I moved out of a 2-year epic spot in Ubud, Bali that I thought was going to be my home for many years. The saving grace was that I got to finish my tiny home in this beautiful jungle atmosphere in which I've been a co-pioneer, expat in this Les Valley community on the North Shore of Bali, back in 2013. And basically, everything has been a big rug pull. And through those rug pulls, it's like the magic carpet ride that was traversing and trajecting onto this certain frequency and vibration was completely pulled out from underneath me. And some of you may be able to relate to this, because this has been a massive snake shitting super purifying year of just what is it when traumas and dramas unfold that the universe and the infinite cosmos is asking us to go deeper into our five sensory world experience, to really look at and move beyond and hunker down and get into our full sovereign space of clarity, and what is creating and co-creating sacred space. Because if our creations, if our relationships based on creations, if our team building projects are falling apart, or things that are out of control, that are out of our hands are happening, or your spidey sense or your intuitive emotional intelligence is saying these people have made choices or decisions that are out of my hands that I don't agree with, or relationships are on one trajectory and you think this is your partnership, which I also, after 8 months, completed a relational weave with a beautiful being. And all of these things are being dissolved because there's some semblance of trauma and drama in the inner workings of the subconscious, unconscious. And in a way, we have to trust that there are these massive blessings in these karmic lessons of dissolution, dissolving of connections, breakdown in communication. And at the same time, we're seeing the rise of an incredible amount of what I've been obviously talking about, and everyone knows, of the artificial world. The smart cyborg robotic narrative that is increasingly metallicizing our bodies, metallicizing our eyes, which are connected to our brain function, which are connected to the neurosynapses in our brain that are affecting us as we go into our emotional intelligence, that are having effect into our dream time now. All of these things because so many beings around the world are signing up for AI and prompting and believing that it's going to save humanity, that it's going to be the new God of our planet. And in a way it is. In a way it is the new God. The trauma that we are experiencing in the Matrix, if we are fully on the screen for so many hours, and we're not really able to manage our time in nature, or we haven't moved off the grid at this point. If you haven't already done so, then you're behind schedule, I believe. You got to get on it. But I think at this point in time, the reason I really haven't done many YouTube transmissions, and even in the last maybe year and a half, 2 years, I've really, since I got blacklisted for a few of my videos, and obviously the Google, YouTube powers that were paradigm, the old paradigm, the patriarchal technocratic paradigm, is siphoning off the truth or completely creating a bypass. So the artificial intelligence, smart world, cyber, metatronic, negative, technocratic reality will take over. And that's just what it is. And even though that's a truth on one level, there are deeper layers of sovereignty and autonomy that we can go to. And I really believe that even though there's a lot of this stuff happening on the socials and happening on the AI narrative, that there are those of us who are really deeply connecting off-grid through telepathy and through meditation, and really moving our awareness into these other focus points that are accelerating the vibratory subatomic structure of our atoms, including our particles, into electronic vibrating fields of awareness through our protons, our neutrons, and our electrons. And through this electrical connection that's accelerating, we're vibrating at a higher level. And truly, all of these things that are confusing us or breaking down or not really working at a soul intelligence level is because we're being forced to move through this vertical arrow point timeline right now to choose to connect with the vibrations and the frequencies that are most aligned with our soul star, purpose-oriented, universal, connected, sovereign, new, exalted, and even noble beginnings. And what I mean is, we're not choosing to go into fight or flight or fear. We are dealing with our depression, our sadness, our anger, our frustration. We're working on that on the inner organ verse level so that the outer verse and what pops in is more fine-tuned. And you may find that through the traumas and dramas that you're spending more time alone. Therefore, as we transcend the trauma of the endings and we traject forward into the movement and the action of exalting our new beginnings, it's not enough to know. We have to know how to apply this into our five-sensory, three-dimensional world. So I'd like to offer some practical know-how, some practical advice, things that I'm writing about right now currently that may support or assist you at this time. Number one is that when you choose to move beyond the AI matrix and really distill what it is that is the most important thing besides gaining wealth, it is your radiant health. And through your radiant health, it is sustaining yourself through all of these different invasive, non-physical energies, whether they are Wi-Fi, 5G, 6G, 7G, electromagnetic smog, chemtrails, invasive parasites, which is kind of making the rounds all over the socials as detoxing and money-making schemes. But the number one thing is, what is it that you put in your body and where does it come from? And for me, being here in Bali, knowing the farmers, knowing the people that are distributing my food sources has been number one priority. High vibe, supernatural, incredible sustenance coming from the earth, coming from sacred Bhumi, sacred earth, the Aina in Hawaiian, and also growing my own food, having an herb garden, discovering the true organic sources of your heirloom seeds. This is number one priority. And this is something that everyone can do. Everyone can have a garden. It's something that I've been talking about for over 2 decades. Being very inspired by the Russian people, the indigenous Russian people in Siberia with the New Earth Destiny film that I did around the Anastasia ringing cedar movement. That's something you can watch. I'll put the link in below. But forming your own dacha, forming your own garden plot. Doesn't have to be big. You can make your own beds. You know, you can prepare if it's winter time. If you're in the southern hemisphere, this is a great time to start seeding and germinating and planting. Figuring out what herbs your body needs, planting them in the garden besides vegetables, fruit trees, all these things. staying vegetarian, staying vegan if possible. The second thing is that how do you opt out of the invasive takeover through AI of the socials, including the Google, the Yahoo, the Meta, the Facebook, the Instagram, the WhatsApp. Now, of course, obviously we have to manage our time if we're still using those things for our business, which many people are, unfortunately. I, for one part, have not been in business with socials. I let go of the influencing. I don't need to create flu to rely on my antidote to your flu. That's what influencing means. In order for me to sustain my ability to thrive in these timelines. Now, the question is there's a lot of material out there right now, all over the web, around how to opt out. And I just want to speak really directly that the invasive surveillance that's coming through the technocratic world is all being done on purpose. It's all being done as part of a fallen consciousness plan, a Luciferic plan, an Ahriman plan, where materialism and dark occult paganism and technocratic anomalies are making themselves so that they can basically take over. So there are ways to opt out or mitigate your choice to engage if you are going to choose to engage with socials and continue to do so. But you can opt out, especially Meta, that's going to be on December 16th of this year. It's going to be completely moving from the beta of their AI into full throttle, 100% AI, everything through Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, and all the other Meta programs they offer are all going AI, 100%. You can research that online. If I have time, I'll add some ways to opt out in the comments below. The third and final thing for now that I would suggest is that if there is a way that you can fully endear yourself to natural intelligence and move beyond making your money solely online, which is the whole reason AI is being made palatable, so everyone can prompt. That's why there's hundreds of new AI softwares being created every day. And that's moving and invading the decentralized narrative, the decentralized finance, the cryptocurrencies. All these things are being done on purpose in order to create a necessary attached reliance on the screen with the continued palatable use of AI. They want to make it extremely easy for you, meaning like it's easier than a habit of you brushing your teeth, going to the bathroom, eating a meal. It's like, it's going to be like, yeah, AI is just normal. Now, there's those of us who are choosing to be crazy or abnormal, which is really just absolutely divinely sane in our emotional natural intelligence. And this is where you're going to have to choose to stop playing the game. The Matrix game is based on taking and siphoning energy from you, in which you are not performing your universal autonomous sovereign choice. So if you choose not to perform your choice, then you are saying yes to all the choices that are being bombarded to us by the very nature of not performing. So in order to perform, you have to say no to the contract. And one of those contractual obligations that seemingly is a must, is a peer social government pressure, is the taxation system, which is siphoning a percentage of your funds every year in relationship to your sweat equity of your goods and services. And so for several decades, I have chosen consciously to opt out of the taxation game. And you can choose as well, because it is a voluntary service. You can read the 9,000-page document in the Internal Revenue Service system, especially in the United States of America, which is a corporation. And this is the reason why they're attempting to go full quantum. This is the reason why they're attempting to dissolve the court system, because they know that this system is keeping people still enslaved, but it's also awakening people. And they're choosing to create a complete new sovereign system where only the elite will have access to this new financial reset system. And now is the time for you to completely opt out and take 100% of your sweat equity, 100% of your energy of what you're doing in life, and say, no, I do not agree. I'm not making contract with you. I am no longer in a binding commitment with you. I am going to choose to be an enlightened heart, sovereign, autonomous being of the infinite cosmos, the universal I am presence. And this is something that you will have to do some research, DYOR, do your own research. And you can also reach out to me on a DM if you want further distillation on this information. And I can link you to some Telegram sites. Because this is absolutely crucial to your liberation and freedom, to move beyond the old matrix and absolutely catapult yourself into the new paradigm. Now, the caveat is, it doesn't all of a sudden say, okay, this is your get out of jail free card. Yes, it does make life easier in the sense that you are no longer plugged in to that stress and anxiety of how the heck am I going to make my yearly commitment to pay this particular notation contract, which is the axe vibration. And the reason I say axe is because I don't even consider it a tax. It axes half your profits. Okay? So that's what it is. It's an axe. And then you have to pay for the other half. That being said, I am now claiming the right to distill in my own performance, to speak and express this freely with all of you. There are many more things that I could digress on, but as far as this video concerned, this is enough for now. And even though so many things are ending and completing, and there's trauma and there's drama and there's all kinds of crazy, conflicting, competitive, just absolutely ignorant and confused things happening out there between people that you never thought would ever happen, or groups, I would say if you can find it in your daily breath, moment by moment, to realize that this all is a global world stage. It is a theatrical play, and that you are the main star. And it's very important for the main star to not take things too freaking seriously and have a really freaking good, deep Buddha belly laugh at the fact that we're not in control. That even though the technocratic powers, the Luciferic fallen ones, the Aharon materialisms, and the technocratics want to completely disband privacy, the fact is they are being watched by the infinite I am all the time. The seventh heaven of everything in this golden egg universe is being watched and observed and witnessed as the witness observes the observer. And there is nothing hidden. So, boo on you. And yes, I think that it's still part of the game to say, no, I don't want you to observe me. I want my privacy. And that is a freedom of choice that I can preserve. And that is the most important thing, is that you keep the power of your choice completely free, intact, and you act on it when it's called to perform. It's time to be in your all one and atone for everything that is being taken away by a greater frequency, a greater expanded vibration of divine intelligences that are asking us to really step deeper into the unknown. step through the fear of the unknown, through the fear of death, and move into a state where you are actual Yah intelligence. You are the divine Elohim original birthright, the birth son or the birth daughter of the Lord and Lady Christ consciousness. The Elohim dream that is no I in team, because there is a connection with all of us. There's 144,000 of us at least right now in the 7.5 billion Earth humans that are being plugged in to this portal. Now, obviously not everyone's going to choose that, but for those of us that are choosing it, the so-called chosen ones, but I don't really believe that there are chosen ones. The 144,000, yes, you choose yourself, but it's actually just a frequency. It's just a vibration. There is absolutely the opportunity for all 7.5 billion human beings to choose to be a part of the frequency and vibration of 144,000. That's all it is. Not necessarily that there's 144,000 beings. I mean, at a minimum, there is, for sure. On every continent, every country across this beautiful planet. But what I'm focusing on right now is as we move into this holy time and moving into this winter season, so to speak, the Christmas season, the new now year that's coming up, that we get to come back to the home within our hearts, that we discover who our core human family is, that we really get to see who we want to spend time with, really get to choose the power of choice, what we want to do when we connect in to the infinite one that we are. Because each and every single one of us is the I am incarnate. We have the powers of the infinite cosmos in these hands, in these bodies, in these minds, in these hearts, in this incredible universal vessel. And we have chosen to be on the surface of this planet in order for us to fulfill the divine experiment, which is to enjoy life. They say in the end times, the greatest frequency and vibration to accelerate the process, every breath, is to be in the bhakti yoga, which is the devotional, ecstatic bliss of expanding our consciousness through sound, through chant, through meditation, through gratitude and appreciation, through understanding that we belong. We have to find a divine state of belonging. That means we have to open ourselves and be still enough in our point within our sacred space, within our own energetic field, alone and autonomous, in order to discover that we are divine sacred space. And in that divine sacred space is so much joy. We have greater intelligences that are desiring to deeply connect with us, to give us an opportunity to be in this fifth dimensional, multidimensional space, to move beyond space and move into the density of our form to be of service. And so there's a time to retreat, there's a time to cleanse and detox and purify the body. This is a good time to review and take stock of what was working and not, and then move into fine-tuning what it is when we go beyond detoxing, when we go beyond cleansing, when we go beyond fasting, and move into how can we best fulfill our own joy of service at this time, and also keep the kindness and the compassion that's inherent to being in the divine state of a basic human way of relating to all of life. All of life is asking us right now to move deeper into how we create, how we manifest, and choosing to place ourselves not against what's happening. There's no need to fight. There's no need to argue. There's no need to defend. There's not even a necessary reason to protest unless you're divinely called to do that. But then once you're done exhausting that timeline, you must move into the still point again. And you need to move into a way of best helping those relate into what it means to live in a purposeful universe. And if we can bring all those purposes back together and move in a direction where we can attract and magnetize the correct use of funding mechanisms, abundance, and prosperity through compassion and kindness for all those in our relational atmosphere, then we are truly going to magnetize a collective natural intelligence that will empower us to take this next leap forward as we move through more dissolution, more potential disasters, more potential breakdowns and breakups on a collective level. Because Mother Earth is breaking up and breaking down because she wants to totally be filled with more of these blessings, more of these energies that are coming down, these plasmic, infinite, unified field neutrino energies that are coming from the great central sun and all the solar flares and the solar wind and all the beautiful space weather, including the blue star Kachina that's happening through what we call, or what the astronomers and astrologists are calling, Three-Eye Atlas. And as we connect into these blessings, we are being inspired to come into a much more natural, much more simple way of thriving and living with what it means to be a human being. And we can slowly dissolve and slowly just say, in grace and gratitude and appreciation, goodbye, Matrix. Goodbye, artificial world. Goodbye, those that are continuing to be attached to these worlds. And then receive the blessings, infinite treasure chests of water and blessings as we move through this holy season, because we get rainbows with the rain, and the rainbow is the bridge to the other side of the wowness in the now. And that truly is how we are going to use the fertilizer of all this trauma this year and open our hearts even wider to awaken to this divine, natural, emotional intelligence, intuitive, combined masculine, feminine, divine union within ourselves, so that we bridge this autonomy together and we start to attract our true soul family, and we make the movements, if the action is called forth, to make the bridges to the new locations, to the sacred Aina, in wherever place that we're being called to connect the dots. Because next year is going to be a massive year of huge transformations. There's going to be a lot of creativity, a lot of fire, a lot of communication, for good and for ill. And we got to move, baby. It's going to be time to move. So we got to be in this exalted, sovereign, noble new beginning, and take this space and reflect during these holy moments and these days and weeks ahead. And I am sending so many beautiful blessings from my sacred Aina, my new tiny home tea temple. I'm so grateful for the Shambhali dragons, because I am here in my all one, and I'm so appreciating you from this space, and give thanks for all the rain, because it's fertilizing everything in my garden. May your gardens be flourishing, and may you be blessed on so many ways, filled to overflowing with beautiful friends and family, and may you get clear and coherent about your next steps as we move through these monumental and simplified times. Much love and aloha. Suksama Moali. You. Yep. There it is. It's a rainbow glow day. Oh.